So one of the things that people say a lot when they are saving things, when they're hanging on to things they are not using right now, is that, we're going to use that later. Right? We absolutely know we're going to use it later. And this comes up a lot with hand-me-downs for kids. So whether it's clothing, or maybe it's even like toys or books or something like that. And I have two scenarios that I want to share with you that will illustrate why this doesn't always work out the way you want it to. In fact, often it works out exactly the opposite of the way that you want it to. So I have 4 boys, you all know this, and so we kept a lot of hand-me-downs. And that worked out pretty well when they were little, right? Because, they just kind of wear whatever you put on their bodies. Unless they're super opinionated. So we were able to pass on a lot of hand-me-downs when they were little, but as they got older, I was still putting away their clothes and we were sorting them. We spent a lot of time making sure they were clean and putting them in the bins and then labeling and all that kind of good stuff. But then it turned out that the kids, as they got older, they just didn't want to wear those clothes anymore. They were like, nobody wears stuff like that, Mom. Like, this is not my thing. And they also had different tastes. Even though they're all boys and they all look a lot alike, they didn't want to wear the same kind of stuff. And another thing that happens a lot, whether it's hand-me-downs or toys or books, is that they do not keep well. Right? This comes up a lot with baby clothes. Like, you'll put away baby clothes and they'll be in perfect condition, right? And we had my mom save baby clothes from me when I was a baby. And you take them out after just a couple years and they do not look the same. And so if there have been any stains on the clothes, you couldn't see them, you washed them, everything looked amazing and perfect. But after a few years, they start to yellow. Or those stains kind of just like come back somehow. And so now you're faced with, oh my goodness, I thought these were, I really was looking forward to using these clothes, but I can't because they're in terrible condition or they're starting to disintegrate. And now I'm disappointed, right? I was really looking forward to it and now it's been taken away from me. And it's just really such a shame. If you've been saving something and looking forward to it and now you can't put it on the next kid, or the grandkid, it's really unfortunate. And now we're disappointed, right? And also we have missed out on the opportunity to let somebody else have it immediately after you are done with it, right? That is the time when people can best use things, is when you're done, you just hand it over, right? You take it to the thrift store, you give it to a friend or something like that. Instead of hanging on to all of these things for so long and then they start falling apart, the elastic wears out, the stains come to the surface, or they're just not in good condition. So if you do want to save something very special, you want to take the extra time to preserve it, right? And to make sure that it is preserved and it's in the proper container. It's not just kind of thrown in an old box where it's going to get moldy, or maybe there's going to be like moths that come in and start eating at the clothes. Like, it's just such a shame. It's such a tragedy, really, when you open something that you've been saving very carefully and very lovingly for years and it's no good, right? And so we don't want that to happen to you, right? So that's the first instance, is when you do save something and then you can't use it later. The other instance is the opposite, right? So you don't save something, and then later on you discover, oh my gosh, I needed that. So I have a story. I have a friend, a very sweet friend, and she had 2 kids and they figured they were done having kids, right? Had 2 kids, boy and a girl. It was all great, right? So she gave away every last baby item that she had. So all the clothes and all the baby gear, like the swings and the strollers and all that kind of stuff. And it was all gone. And then I think she waited a little while, but then she gave it all away. And of course, you know what happened next, right? She got pregnant. And it seems like these things always happen right at the worst time, right? And I think also her husband had been laid off. This was quite a while ago. This is several years ago, probably actually about 15 years ago. Her husband had been laid off. And so becoming pregnant with no baby things, and your husband's out of a job and she was only working a part-time job, was very scary. And she was like, oh no, I wish I hadn't gotten rid of all of that stuff, right? That is the first thing we think, oh, like we almost get gripped with fear and panic, and we're like, oh, I did it wrong, right? This is terrible. Like I made such an awful mistake. But what happened for my friend is that people just poured into her, right? So she had all kinds of people giving her things, and she got all new things, right? Basically new stuff. The stuff that she would have kept would have been old, you know, like probably like worn out and not in great shape by the time the new baby came, because the other kids were a little bit older. It wouldn't have worked out very well, but because she had given things away, right, she was able to bless someone else. And then when she needed things, then everything just showed up perfectly, exactly the way she needed it to. And so I think if we try to be so prepared, you know, and if we try to accommodate and account for every possible situation, we just miss out on so many things. We miss out on the opportunity to bless other people, you know, with the things that we are not using. Like she didn't intend to have another kid at that point, right? So she was just able to give freely and bless other people. And then if she had kept everything, you know, it would have been like kind of, you know, like stuff that wasn't in great shape for the new baby. And she would have missed out on the opportunity to receive from other people when she did have her third child. So I just think it's really important for us to remember that and not feel the need to control everything so tightly, because we just never know what's going to happen. We just don't. We're not fortune tellers. And when we try to control everything, we just end up with a house full of stuff. And then it's really hard to control what's going on. So keep those two stories in mind when you're deciding, should I keep this? Should I not keep it? You know, I'm not saying it's wrong to ever keep anything, but I have decided to err so much further on the side of just let it go. Just let it go. If I do need it later, right? If I do want that thing later, if I do have an opportunity to use something like that, I'll just go get another one, or I'll borrow it, you know, or I'll figure it out. And if I don't, which is more likely, right? 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to need it. And I freed up the space, I've helped somebody else, and I've gotten it out of my house. And that is the name of the game here, my friends. Getting those things out of our houses. All right. So hope that helps you. Hope that little story gives you something to work with. If you are not in our membership, you want to make sure you get on the wait list, right? There's a link below this video that you can go and sign up for the wait list. For the membership, we have some amazing things coming up in August that you are not going to want to miss out on. So click through, sign up for the wait list, and I'll see you later. All right, everyone, take care.